This is a demonstration video on doing the homework problems for chapter number 2. There's 2 problems, and we're doing the second one here, probably the harder of the 2. So we have Presidio, that's the parent company acquiring the stock of Mason. We're given some additional information about incurring some cost here, and of course the amounts they're paying to acquire Mason. Increasing in values, the amounts of the assets here are at book value, and the amount to bring it up to its fair value. So looking at the questions here, we need to determine how much Presidio paid for Mason. The book value for Mason, that's easy because it's right over here. In C, determine the allocation of fair values to individual assets. That's this paragraph over here. D, determine the total net fair value of assets. Of course, that's the increasing amounts to get to the fair value up beyond the book value. E, determine the excess fair value over cost. The cost is the amount that we paid here in step A. And of course, the fair value is in step D, so we're taking the difference. Notice it says excess fair value over cost and not the other way around. If we did have the other way around, the amount paid over the fair value, we know there would be probably goodwill. But this is just the opposite situation we learned here in chapter 2. Fair value over the amount paid. That's a bargain purchase. So we're going to probably recognize a gain. And then the last step here, the requirement, is to journalize everything. Here it says 3 transactions. So if you look at the examples in chapter 2, the first journal entry is to show the acquisition of the subsidiary, buying the stock of Mason Company. In the second transaction, we're incurring professional fees to process this transaction, and we're going to be recording an expense. And there's another expense that we don't deduct, and that's for, let's see if I can find it here. The cost of issuing the stock is $12,150. And we're told the rule of recording the cost, the debit for this amount, is not to an expense, but to offset the additional paid-in capital we're going to have to report on the purchase of Mason. So let's get into the spreadsheet where we'll see pretty much the same information, but now amounts are put into the spreadsheet cells so we can now use those cells as references into our formula. Remember, all our answers have to be entered into the spreadsheet as formulas. And of course, all formulas begin with an equal sign. And that's reminded to us here in this text box. And we have this panel here, to come to when we need to check our work. Remember, we have 3 attempts for each submission for our homework, and that's per problem, 3 for this problem, 3 for the problem number 1. And again, the cells we need to fill in is the one with this green or blue flags, way down here. If you see yellow here without the green flag, that means you can leave it empty. And eventually to submit, we need to click on this Save button. So let me get rid of this panel so we have more working space to see. And of course, to get back to that panel, we would go up into the menu and click on that ellipsis for the home menu and then go down to this Tools option. So let's go review the facts again. We have Presidio acquiring 100% of all the stock of Mason. And to do that, Presidio is going to issue $206,000 of long-term liabilities. Okay, so this is probably like bonds or a note payable. And we're getting the proceeds and we're giving it to the owners, the stockholders of Mason. In addition to 20,300, it should leave off the dollar sign here. It's not dollars, but 20,300 shares of common stock We're giving that also to the owners of Mason. And our stock has a par value. Our meaning Presidio stock has a par value of $1, but it's worth $10. So we know that extra amount we're getting, that difference of $9 per share, that's additional paid-in capital. Yeah, $1 of common stock par value and $9 more per share of additional paid-in capital for 20,300 shares. And our Presidio is paying 30,600 to accountants, lawyers, and brokers for all of this acquisition. So we know we're going to be treating that as a professional service expense, yeah, deducting expense, and another 12,150 in connection with the stock issuance. So that's going to again be an offset to that additional paid-in capital, again that $9 per share. Okay, so we're given the balance sheets. This is your book value for the two companies. Okay, all that book value. Of course, balance sheet amounts, and then, yeah, just balance sheet amounts, and then additional information here. That's not really part of the balance sheet yet, but we're going to be using these amounts in our formulas below. So the nice thing about this online Excel homework is they pretty much lay out down here, yeah, what you got to do in the order you need to do it. Let's see, additional information we're given. Presidio's appraisal of Mason. We have 3 assets that are undervalued. In other words, these costs here for the 3 assets of Mason are low, undervalued. So here they're telling you the additional amount it's worth. And again, they're putting it into a spreadsheet format so we can refer to these cells in our formula below. Let's see, Presidio plans to maintain Mason's separate legal identity and operate it as a subsidiary. So we learned here in chapter 2, we could buy the subsidiary and then pretty much merge and liquidate it out of business, just including now the assets and liabilities within the acquiring parent company. But they're not doing that here. They're not liquidating Mason. They're keeping it as a wholly owned subsidiary. So we're not going to record the increase in assets as a journal entry on the books of the parent. What we're going to record on the books of the parent is the acquisition of the investment in Mason, the stock investment in Mason. Okay, but we still need these amounts here to eventually get the fair value of the assets of Mason. And again, we refer to important red instructions here to refer to these cells above A, rows 2 to 31 when we do our formulas below. Okay, so first step, A, determine the consideration paid by for Mason. Okay, so how much is Presidio paying in total value to acquire the Mason stock? This term here is probably should be changed. Not liabilities assumed, but liabilities issued to acquire the stock. Assume kind of implies these liabilities of Mason here, these two here, accounts payable and long term, in the acquisition, yeah. But really, it's this. Let's see if we can find it here. This long-term liabilities. Again, this is what Presidio is issuing out to get funds, either giving this promissory note or bonds to the current owners of Mason, or just selling it and using the cash and giving that to Mason. So that's this 206,000. So let's put that in the formula. Okay, we start off the formula with equal, and we grab that 206,000 here in cell B20. And when I enter, of course, it just enters that one number. Okay, so a stock issued. Again, we're filling in the yellow boxes with only the green flags here, yeah? So number of shares issued. So equal, and let's see if we get that 20, right here, 20,300 shares, and enter. And the price per share, I know it's $10, but again, you don't type in 10, yeah? We got to find that $10 value in a cell in the input area here to feed our output area over here below. So we just multiply out the two to get that amount here in the right-hand column under the bond proceeds or the liabilities. So equal cell times the other cell address and enter. So let's add up these two amounts here. So I'm in the cell where I want the answer to be. And the fast way, let's see the sum function, yeah? So hold on my Alt key and tap the equal key. And it's only grabbing one number here. So let me drag over this whole range here, including the two cells I want to add up. And I enter. Of course, you could say add this cell and you get the same result. Okay. In step B, determine the book value of the Mason's assets. So let's grab the total assets. Is it up here? A total figure? Well, these are individual assets. So I'm going to add up all these assets right here, yeah? Cash through equipment for Mason. So let's start off the formula. Equal. And let me add that range. Well, let me, I'll just type in the sum function. Paren. Open paren. And just drag over those assets. Cash through equipment for Mason. And you can see the formula being constructed here. So I'll type in close paren to finish it off and enter. So that's total liability assets. Now the two liabilities need to be added over here as positive numbers, even though we're going to be subtracting it, yeah? So I'll do the alt equal. I don't want this number to be added in, but I'll drag over the two liability amounts. Accounts payable and long-term for Mason. And you can see it's finished already, so I just enter. It's showing up as a negative, so let me put it back in as a positive by editing this formula. So maybe right here at the beginning, I'll just put a minus to turn the negative number into a positive number. Now I take the difference here. Let's see. Equal assets minus, need to get a minus in there, minus liabilities, and I enter. And let's see if we can double check this 490,000 by adding up all of the book values here. I'm dragging over the first one, including these two liabilities here. And here automatically in the bottom of the spreadsheet, you can see the total, including these negative numbers, yeah, which matches my formula. So I'm guessing I'm on the correct track here when I get that 490,000. Okay, so that was step B. Step C, determine the allocation of fair values to the individual assets and compute the total. Let's see. I want to take the book value of these assets and add it to, again, the book value, that's these three up here. Which three now? Inventory, land, and building. Inventory, land, and building. All three, notice it's bunched together. Bunched together here makes it a little bit more simple when I enter a formula. And then that's book value, but not the fair value. So we need to increase it by an additional amounts here. And again, it's all bunched together in the same order. So our formula is going to be easy to enter, or formulas are going to be easy to enter. So let's put the first one, again, the green flag. I'll grab the book value of the inventory, this 147.5. And to that, I'm going to plus add the increasing value right here, this 5,300, and I enter. Now, I can enter the same formula by typing in it just like I did before for the inventory. But the fast way is just to copy this formula down to the next row and the next row. And you can do that here. Notice next and next row, because the order is the same here in column B, and also here in column C. So let's see if I can copy here. A couple different ways of copying, yeah? Can I use the fill handle and just drag down? Or Control C and paste down? Let's see. I'm using the fill handle here. And notice the formula. Same column C and B, but one row below, yeah? 10 and 30. Here you can see 9 and 29. Or here, 11 and 31. Okay, so let me add up the 3 items here. I think that's what I need to do, yeah? Let's see. Alt equal and drag over the 3 and enter. Step D, determine the total net fair value of assets. So I got the three assets here. How about the other assets and the liabilities? The total net fair value of assets is not just this. This is just the 3 assets. We're still missing cash and equipment, and also subtracting out the liabilities for Mason. So we need a different formula here. So let's start off by adding the book value, net book value, plus the increasing in fair value. Okay, so Alt equal, I want the net book value of Mason. That's all of the assets, all these assets here, and minusing out the liabilities, which is already showing up as a negative. Okay, so that's this formula right here. And to this, I want to add the increasing in fair value for those 3 assets. So I'm going to add plus, let's do another sum here. I'm going to add those 3 numbers for the increasing values. Let's see, right here. Okay, and close paren. So here's the book value, this sum function. And here's the increasing in value for the 3 assets, this sum function. Both being added together, yeah? So I enter. So that's the fair value of Mason. And now here in step E, the excess of this fair value over the amount we paid. So how much did we pay? This amount over here, yeah? Okay, so equal fair value minus the amount or consideration we paid. Where is this it here? Yeah, I'm getting confused with this word assume. Yeah, it's not really assume. This is the liabilities we issued. Okay, so I enter. So that's, no, I can't see the answer. I think I had this problem with the previous video. So let me try, instead of going in and out of this problem, let me scroll all the way down and back up again. And there we go. Okay, so this is the excess fair value we got over the amount we paid for Mason's stock. And again, because of this situation, we have a bargain gain, a bargain purchase gain. Yeah, gains are like revenue recorded with credits, which we'll see here now in this last step. In step A, record now the 3 transactions. The first one is acquiring the stock of Mason, and then here everything we gave credit to acquire that stock. I think including this purchase gain here, yeah? The second entry is professional fees we incurred. And number 3 journal entry is that any kind of fee incurred for the stock itself, issuing the stock, yeah? That's not an expense, but a reduction to the paid-in capital, additional paid-in capital that we're going to be recording in step number 1 here. Okay, so let me lay out the debit here for number 1, and that's the investment. You notice the handle when I'm in this cell, the handle, the drop-down handle here? I'm looking for investment in Mason, our subsidiary. And the amount is recorded at its fair value. Let's see now, where is that? Net value here. So let me grab that. Equal. Now, I think that's the only debit. Again, if we had goodwill, goodwill would be also debit, but that's not the case. Yeah, just the opposite with a bargain purchase gain here. So let's do the first credit, and that's issuing out the bonds or the liability. So what is it called here? Long-term liability. Liabilities increase with credits. So let's see if we can grab it in one of the cells up here. Let's go way to the top here. Is this it here? Yeah, again, I'm getting confused with the wording here, but let me go back up here and grab this one. And I have that strange problem again. Just scroll down and back up again. I think there. No? Let's see if I go out again of the problem and come back in again. Yeah, let me pause my recording. I didn't exit the problem. I just kind of played with the scroll over here like this, up and down, and it eventually disappeared. Okay, so I got one credit in this first journal entry, and the next one is the issuance of the stock. So here in my drop-down menu, I'm looking for the stock account. And par value, of course, is $1. So let's start the formula. Now, how many shares did we issue? 20,300 times the par value of $1, and I enter. Again, let me get rid of this block screen here. There we go. Again, I'm just jiggling up and down the scroll button here. And then, of course, that's not what the stock is worth. It's going to be worth $9 more, yeah? And that's additional paid-in capital. The normal balance of an equity account like that is a credit. If I can scroll down there, additional paid-in capital. And again, we're issuing the same amount of shares, 20,300 times. I don't type in the number 9 now. How do I figure out 9 in a formula? Of course, it's going to be here in parentheses because I want this done first in my formula. To get the value, $10, minus the par value, $1. Okay, so in this parentheses is $9 times the number of shares. Enter. Am I balancing? Let's see if I can add up these three credits here just by dragging over them. And here you can see it only totals to 409,000. And I have debits of 548,000. So we know that the excess, is it here? Excess fair value over cost. this amount here. Let me grab it, equal. So if I drag over all four numbers, you can see the total credits equal now my debits. Okay, so what's the label? Gain on bargain purchase. You notice that there's this green handles the flags here. You cannot have like a debit and a credit to the same account in a journal entry. You would net out the two, and whatever is left over would be a debit or credit. So see what happens if I try to put something here in this cell by mistaken. What would happen to this? Yeah. Again, let me just grab that same amount again and enter. You notice this one disappeared? I didn't delete it. So it knows that there can only be one. And if you're entering in one, it will erase the other, yeah? So let me delete this and put it back in again. Okay, so that's journal entry number 1, the acquisition of the substock. And here everything we paid for it, including that bargain gain. So the second entry is the professional fees we're incurring. And that's going to be an expense, yeah, deducted right away. A professional service expense. Expenses recorded with debits. So equals, so let's go grab the amount above here. This one right here. In the narrative, that would be this amount here, yeah? And not this amount here for the stock issuance. Okay. So 30,600. And then we paid for it, so that's cash credit. Now, where do I go? I can't type in the number, yeah? Can I just grab this or I have to go back up again? Let me go back up. And our last journal entry is the, let me do the cash credit first. And the amount. This amount right here, yeah, this is for that stock issuance. This amount here. And they're actually telling you the account to debit right here. I wonder if I could use a formula grabbing the wording. Let me try that. Equal and grab that wording. Right here. This cell, B70, no, A24. You can see a formula, yeah? Now, if I look at this one, you can actually see the wording from the drop-down list, yeah? I don't know if it's going to be scored correctly, but let's see what happens when I click on check my work. Again, make sure you either have a debit or credit, yeah, in the journal entries, and not both, and not this one is empty, yeah? This would be empty. No, wait, I'm missing the amount. Debit. Can I grab this? Let's see what happens. Okay. Every row has either a debit or credit. So let's check my work. Okay, I have 3 attempts here for this one problem. Something's wrong. Let's go to the top here and zoom out to see more. Determine the allocation of fair value of individuals and compute the total. Okay, I added the cost and the increase. So what's wrong here? Determine the allocation of fair value to individual assets. Are they only looking for the increase? I think so. Everything else looks correct. Let me go back and fix this here. What I think they're looking for is just these 3 amounts here. In my formula below, I've added also the book value for those 3 assets. So let's go back. Again, what you should do whenever you have a mistake like this, don't go straight back to continue work because you're going to lose track of what was correct and what was incorrect. So what I would do is capture your screen, yeah, over the area that is incorrect, so you can remember, yeah, this screen right here. Go back and fix it. Okay. So let me go back. And just grab the increasing in value and copy this formula down. Did it do it? 21,800, 21,800, 30,900. And my total should have changed automatically. Let's check my work again. I have only 2 more attempts. Oh, it looks good. Looks good. Okay. Now, if I want to submit, well, if I want to go back to my first problem, I go to continue working, save, and return to assignment. Yes, I want to do that. Now I can go back to my number 3, a number 1 problem, yeah? And I still not have yet used any one of my 3 submissions. Now once you submit, you're going to have 2 more submission attempts for the whole 2 problem homework assignment, yeah? And when you start your second submission, the check my work buttons will reset to 3 more per problem, yeah? Per problem. Okay? So again, this is a demonstration video doing that second problem for the chapter 2 homework.